Week 9 of Workflow Wednesdays. Thanks again for watching and joining with me. Today I want to go through a particular feature that some people may not be aware of, but definitely a feature that will help your workflow scale as they become more complex, as you add more nodes. And I'll go through a particular example that I have today, a workflow, very simple workflow, but just to show you the power of this particular feature called the global data prefix, and how it can help you keep a cleaner workflow, make it more easy to understand, especially the parts that actually require understanding the dependencies of data between those nodes. So if you have ever checked out our documentation section, we have an article that goes through this example there as well in further detail for your own review. So go to my workspaces and let's begin. So I have a workspace set up already called Global Prefix Demo, and inside it I have my Global Prefix workflow. So this is what it looks like before we make any changes. So let's describe what we see here first. So the inbound call node is the first node, it's the trigger node in our workflow. If I receive a call to the number associated with this inbound call trigger, it will process the next set of nodes and pass the data onwards. And it passes the data onwards through the data anchor here. And in this case, the data anchor is automatically connected to the answer node. So anytime you connect a node in your workflow, drag from the webhook anchor over to another node. Let's look for a call node like hangup. You're automatically passing in some key information that's required to run the workflow. In this case, the call control ID. In order to execute commands or these nodes through our voice API, you need to always ensure that the call control ID, which is the unique identifier of this call, is included in each of these nodes so that we know which call to issue that command on. And whenever you drag across from one of the webhook anchors, like we just did there, the call that speak ended on the speak text node, you'll automatically pass through that data. If you don't drag over and you just right click anywhere and then connect the node, answer node, let's say, to bridge and then the data manually, you have to pass in the call control ID here as well. So just bear that in mind. It's important to consider when you're building out your workflows. But we want to avoid passing through data lines that are unnecessary, data from nodes like the answer. There's nothing that the answer provides as output that's kind of relevant to the next nodes. So for this node, we look back at our entire workflow again. The inbound call will pass through this call.initiated webhook. That is now, the information from this webhook is now accessible in the answer node, and that's how I can get access to the call control ID by doing the open curly braces and specifying the values that I want. But that's kind of the only thing that's interesting in here. I just want to answer the call. It's kind of not really important anything else outside of that information that I want to do next. But you can see that the answer node is passing data to the switch, to the HTTP client, to the datetime node as well. Let's include that there for the sake of the demo purpose, and onwards straight through to the gather. The whole point of the global prefix is to allow that node and that node's data to become accessible throughout the entire workflow. And what you get then is not having to pass in, let's say, the information from this node all the way up to the hangup, and you get workflows that start to become a little bit more difficult to view. right? Because you've got more lines involved. We really only care about the execution, the flow of execution, which are the black edges here, the black lines, and the data lines should only really apply between the nodes that will actually share data between them. So if I think about it here, the date time node is useful because maybe I want to pass through the date time into the current date time into this next node, right? The gather using AI node. And we do that here by connecting the output of the datetime node as the input into the gather using AI node. And we access it through the dynamic variable syntax as seen here, because that's what is available to us. Utility.datetime, right? This is the information that you'll see here, 2025-0306, offset UTC. Let's see what happens when we add the global prefix. So I'm gonna click my inbound call node, go to the node settings on the top right hand side here. I'm gonna enable the prefix. I'm gonna give it a name. I'm gonna call it inbound call info. I'm gonna add that prefix. And if you see over at our inbound call, the data anchor is going to disappear. Data anchor is gone now. No more blue line connecting from the inbound call node to the answer node. And importantly, again, this prefix is now added. So anytime we want to access the information from this node, we use the dynamic variable syntax. We include this prefix at the beginning, and then we'll be able to access all the other properties inside that. Very important thing to note though is that when you do enable the prefix, make sure to update the downstream nodes, the next nodes that are connected. In this case here, we have the call control ID. This is no longer applicable because the data line is not passed or connected to the answer. So I need to update this, open curly bracket, and pass through the inbound call info call initiated call control ID instead. Blue syntax means that the dynamic variable is valid and it is accessible. We can access it from this node now. And likewise, now I want to get rid of the data lines that are outputted from the answer node because they're just not applicable. There's nothing in the answer node that's really important that other downstream nodes further need to be aware of. So I'm going to get rid of it all. Just bear in mind that while I have enabled that global prefix on the inbound call, since this answer node is still passing through its data to the gather using AI node, technically speaking, this is still valid because it's accessing the webhook information from this answer node, for which we can still access the call control ID property. But we don't want to do that. We want to remove the need for passing through the call control ID across nodes when we've just pretty much made it accessible globally. So I'm going to get rid of this anchor here as well. And I'm going to have to update the gather using AI call control ID field to use the inbound call info global prefix instead. So now when we look at our graph, right, I know now that the datetime node is an important node for me that outputs data into the gather using AI node, the speak node, because these two nodes need to use the values that this datetime node outputs. Whereas with the answer node, there was nothing really important in that node. So that's the idea behind the global prefixes. This is a very simple workflow for now that talks about why it's beneficial. You can see that here straight away that we don't have as many blue lines as we did initially throughout the workflow. While it mightn't look too bad here right now, it's when you have workflows that probably increase in size to 20 plus nodes, and where you definitely don't want to have blue lines attached everywhere. That the global prefix node, or rather the global prefix setting on your inbound call node or any other node, it's not just limited to the trigger node that we have in our example here, becomes accessible. Just say that, name them accordingly so that you can understand importantly at which points they should apply. Maybe I might want to give the HTTP client node a global prefix because maybe some future node down the line that maybe I haven't connected up yet will be able to access that based on the prefix that I assigned, and that avoids me having to drag a really long line all the way over to whatever node it is in the workflow. and again, it makes the workflow look a lot cleaner. So that's everything today on the global data prefix. Check out the documentation there again for more specific details around this example. But I do hope it helps you in making sure that your workflows, especially those that grow in size, become a lot cleaner in its usage. So thank you.